commissioner of Major League Baseball, Clay Vincent was struck with a simple yet ambitious idea. Keenly aware that many important figures in the history of baseball were growing older and concerned that their rich stories would soon be lost forever, Vincent embarked on a quest to capture an intimate oral history of the game that could be passed from generation to generation. Over a period of several years, he spoke ear to ear with many of the game's greatest stars. These are the stories of the boys in the hall.
The happiest moment in my baseball career was when I put the Brooklyn Dodger uniform on. I couldn't believe that when I turned around and asked Joe played center field for me.
All the guys that I see living here playing baseball, they're white. So now this is a chance for me.
Just gets in your blood. People don't understand what that means and why she's good at this game.
The Boys in the Hall is brought to you by Subway Restaurants, where winners eat. Peter Berra, or Yogi to you and me, is a baseball icon, of course, widely recognized as one of the greatest catchers in baseball history. Berra was a 15-time All-Star and a 10-time World Series winner. Yet it's quite possible that Berra is even better known for his often quoted Yogiisms like, "It ain't over till it's over," and his charming fractured English, which he picked up as a young man on the streets of the Hill, the predominantly Italian working class section of St. Louis.
My dad came from work. We knew we had to drop everything because he wanted this can of beer on that table. He did that, then he go out and play again. Baseball, that's going out fooling around to know 30 or something like that. And, my brother once said, we're not getting a chance to play. We played Subway Park where I lived a week. And all the clubs there, the Hicks, Falcons, Panthers, Hawks. We played football. We played football. Whenever sports was in season, we played. We played football, we played soccer, we played softball in the morning, then baseball in the afternoon. That game we called cardball was a league. We played with a broomstick and a bottle catch. We had a league in that. We played every sport there was. And you don't need 9 guys either. You need a pitcher and a catcher.
Yogi Berra wasn't the only great player who came from the Hill in St. Louis. There was his best boyhood buddy, Joe Garagiola.
Joe and I worked in Sears and Roebuck's. He worked at a sporting goods store and I worked in a hardware department.
A fellow catcher who, like Yogi, was invited to a tryout with the hometown St. Louis Cardinals. Both were 16 and both were impressive. But only Garagiola would get a contract, although Berra did catch the eye of the man in charge.
Rance Rickey was there. And he told me I'd never be a big league ball player. After I signed my contract, I get a telegram from Rickey to report to Berra Mountain spring training. Nobody knew at that time that was camping, you know. And he couldn't tell me, that was going on with
but the Yankees got to him first and signed Yogi for $500. After driving in 23 runs in a minor league doubleheader, Berra was on his way to the major leagues. The first came the Navy and World War II.
I had to go to Richmond, Virginia to sign in. They asked me what I wanted again. I said the Navy. Okay. Then they come out. We want some volunteers to be on this new boat that came out, the rocket boat, LCSS. We weren't allowed to write home what we were doing or anything. And I volunteered just so that I could, be doing something. We had 3 caliber machine guns, a twin 50 and 12 rockets on each side. It was only 36 footer and 6 men and an officer.
On June 6, 1944, Seaman Second Class Yogi Berra took part in the D-Day invasion in Normandy, serving as a gunner's mate and landing on Omaha Beach.
We went in about 300 or 400 yards from the beach, and we fired the rockets. If it hits on the beach, then you let them all go. You could shoot one at a time, you shoot 2 at a time, you could shoot all 12 if you wanted to. I thought it was like 4th of July. Pretty, the light and everything. You don't even know you were warned. You just looked it up in my office and you better get your head down in here. I just wanted to look at it.
When we returned, on The Boys in the Hall, Yogi and the Yanks began to win, and win, and win. Welcome back to The Boys in the Hall, Yogi Berra. When Yogi Berra was called up to the New York Yankees late in the 1946 season, he joined a team that was trying to find a replacement for another Hall of Fame catcher, Bill Dickey. Berra and Dickey were complete opposites, one tall and rangy, the other short and squat. But with Dickey on the verge of retirement, they soon bonded, with Dickey literally giving Berra the uniform off his back, or at least his uniform number, the iconic number 8.
I was terrible catching my first 2 years. It was bad. I stunk. Dickey really got me.
After a few minutes with Hall of Famer Bill Dickey, the catching candidates learned to make the tough plays more easily.
He worked my tail off one time, but I enjoyed doing it. Because if that's the time I would spend training, I finish early, what are you going to do? First thing you do is spend training, run around the park, and get loose, you did your exercise. Then you got to loosen up before you take off. We break that. That was clunky. Teach you coordination and everything. How to feel the ball. We used to play for coach. If you missed the down ball, you get the end.
I signed with the Yankees in September of '46, and it was a game that day, a doubleheader, and it was Bobby Brown and Yogi's first game with the Yankees.
I come in, I said, well, where's my locker? He had me hanging on the nail somewhere. He didn't know I was.
One of the first times that the manager saw Yogi Berra going up to home plate, just walking up to home plate to hit. And the manager says, what have we got here? Because Yogi walking didn't look like a baseball player.
Well, I was very knock-me. I didn't look like a ball player. I was awfully moving death. He looked at me and said, who the hell are you? He said, you go get a Yankee.
Impressing the quiet and reserved Yogi was important to just about any young player who joined the Yankees in the late 1940s, especially one of Italian-American descent.
You're scared to talk to him. I always remember when he walked in, he always had his legs crossed. And he always had a cup of coffee and he smoked that at that time. Smoking. You know, I used to put coffee between your teeth and you do that. And he always ran. And if you just travel that ball, I think it's like really bad, you know, if you just miss it at the time you say, what's he going? He's not going to get there. But he got there. He never did anything wrong. I never seen slack for a ball. Everything was there. Caught it.
Neither did many of the other Yanks during those glorious years with the team that first featured DiMaggio, Tolosito, and of course, Mickey Mantle.
But Mickey run the game. They when he first came off the bench swinging at that ball. Here, he learned to lay off of it. And became a heavy hitter. Mickey wasn't a real good hitter left-handed. Right-handed, he wasn't good hitter. We had no fun. Because we used to go out. I used to kill him a lot. I said, hey, you guys are staying out, I'm going home. Most of the time when they went out, I'll tell you, Whitey never stayed. The next day he was supposed to play. The night, he actually stayed home. Because he knew he was pitched that day. And I used to kid Mickey. I said, when I know when I've had enough Mickey, I said, I look up and see it. If I see it spinning around, I'm going home. If it don't spin, I'm all right.
The Yanks of the late 1940s and early 1950s were in the midst of an era of unparalleled success.
Times Square on DJ Day gets nothing on the Yankee clubhouse after a pennant win. No, sir. Victory never loses its friends.
Even with all those Yankee stars, it was the miniature catcher who rose above the rest. Berra led the team in RBIs for 7 straight seasons, and during New York's first unprecedented run of 5 consecutive championships from 1949 to 1953, Berra averaged more than 25 homers and 100 RBIs a year, numbers nearly unheard of for a catcher. In 1951, he won his first MVP award, and followed that by winning 2 more in 1954 and 1955. The strange-looking kid from the Hill proved that he did belong. Up next, on The Boys in the Hall. For Yogi, the winning never gets old. Welcome back to The Boys in the Hall. Yogi Berra. For Yogi Berra and the rest of the Yankees, winning became a way of life in the 1950s. The Yanks won the World Series 8 times and won 6 of them, including both 1952 and 1953, when they beat their crosstown rivals, the Brooklyn Dodgers. This is Red Ball at Yankee Stadium in New York, as the Brooklyn Dodgers and New York Yankees.
A lot of people thought we were, we weren't enemies. We felt Alan Barnstorm with their guys. They went to Japan. We played together. It was nice, you had to talk to everybody and everything. Oh, boy, sure, heck yeah. He was a good guy. We had a lot of fun.
And this guy here today is the finest clutcher I've ever seen in the game today. Baseball does a tremendous job.
What's your reaction to this, Yogi? Well, I was very thrilled, but with these Brooklyn Dodgers, that 5 run wasn't even safe. I was shocked that home run with the bases loaded.
Dating back to 1941, it was the 5th straight time New York had beaten the Dodgers. But 1955 would finally be the year the Dodgers and their fans would have to wait no more. And it included one of the signature moments of Berra's career.
Yankee Stadium is tense to thwart ways and situations. Whitey noticed the Yankees a daring base runner, right by to steal home. And Robinson suddenly breaks for the plate. And Jackie Robinson is safe. A decision that will keep the fans buzzing for a long, long time.
Now, he was out. That's all I can say, out. I still say, nobody ever went to the Jack. I said right away, out.
Yogi doesn't agree with the decision, but umpire Bill Summers has ruled Robinson safe.
Bill Summers was a good umpire, but he was too short. If you ever see a picture of that again, Bill Summers was the umpire behind home plate. And he was about 5'6". Now Yogi's got the ball and he's holding the glove in front of the home plate, and Jackie slides into it. You look at Bill Summers, he's 3 or 4 or 5 feet behind Yogi. He can't see it.
Berra's reaction and continued insistence over the years that Robinson was out is something ironic, considering the Yanks won the game, but they did eventually lose the series.
And the Dodgers go on to win behind Johnny Padres for their first World Championship.
The next year, the two teams went at it again, and this time, another of Berra's reactions would become an endearing baseball image.
Don takes his time, goes to the mountain bag, wipes his brow.
Anything I put down, never shook me off once. You got everything moving. What I call it. He went to 3 balls only on 1 inning. That was in the first game of Pete Reese.
Larson fires the ball, strike 3, and it's all over. The first perfect game ever pitched in World Series history.
After Larson's perfect game, which helped the Yanks win the 1956 World Series, New York continued its success in the back half of Berra's career. In his last 7 years, Yogi went to 6 more World Series and won 3 more championships to bring his total to 10, the most for any player in the history of the game.
Well, let me ask you this, Joe. You're going to set or tie a record tomorrow. Will be your 10th World Series. Tying Joe DiMaggio and Babe Ruth.
Well, the 2 great ball players.
And Yogi, how do you feel about having played more World Series games than anybody else? 54.
It's not a game.
That legacy of winning, along with Yogi's engaging personality, made him one of the most endearing figures in the history of sport. An American folk hero who was as unique as was his use of the English language.
Gee, Jack, you're in great shape. After all, who knows more about cats than the person who moved?
When did you get moonstruck, Yogi?
When the grandfather says, "Hey, Bella Moon," that means a beautiful moon tonight.
Yogi, what'd you do this year?
She did a good job. She got the Golden Glove Award.
I've been doing a lot of thinking lately about Miller Lite. What a profound concept. It's got a third less calories than I probably thought I didn't even have. And it's less filling than it would have been if it was more filling than they didn't want it to be. Plus, it tastes as great as you expect, even for having more calories than it didn't have in the first place. Think about that. Who the heck is this guy still around? Amtrak spring getaway fares are great. The first guy gets a whole seat and then he pays for it. The second guy pays half a whole seat. And the third guy gets a free seat that the first guy pays for. Yogi, it's over.
When we return on The Boys in the Hall, it really ain't over till it's over. Welcome back to The Boys in the Hall. Yogi Berra. In 1988, Yogi's values, extraordinary accomplishments, and lifelong commitment to baseball were memorialized in a museum in his hometown of Montclair, New Jersey.
I had a museum, and it's still alive to see it. But, usually they're dead before they do something for you. When we get the kids here at the museum, first thing I tell them, this game is not played just one day. You gotta play every day, to learn anything about it. I love the game. I love to play the game of baseball. It was a lot of fun. enjoy it. You get to talk to everybody, you know, and you know people. You get to meet a lot of good people in this game.
There's probably never been a Yankee that I can think of that probably was said more times to him, well, you can't do that, you can't do that, who then turned around and did it.
Was he a warrior?
Oh, he was a warrior. Oh, was he a warrior? In every sense of the word, and I love that word, as you know. But here was a real warrior, yeah. If I was in the trench, I'd sure want Yogi Berra was there.
The dictionary defines a yogi as someone who has achieved a high level of spiritual insight. Lawrence Peter Berra fits that description and more. The son of an Italian immigrant who didn't make it past the 8th grade, Berra somehow found his way from the hill to the hall, becoming perhaps the greatest catcher the game has ever known. After he retired, Yogi went on to impart some of that spiritual insight as a manager, one of only 6 in history to lead teams from both leagues to the World Series. That was the great Yogi Berra, and that's why he is one of the boys in the hall.